Welcome to the Headliners. I'm your host, Edwin Mbeche, CEO and founder of Ellen Super App. Today, my guest is Dana Williams. Dana is like how let me summarize it just a little bit, right? Dana
Okay.
is the CEO, founder, strength coach. Dana, welcome to the Headliner.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Edward.
Let me because I know probably I messed up your introduction. Can you?
Yeah, you did fine. You did fine.
Yeah.
Yes. So I'm Dana Williams, and my background is I'm a founder right now of my own business that I created. Gosh, almost a year and a half ago, and I saw the need when I was in corporate. I was in several different roles in leadership at Southwest Airlines over my 25-year career there. And I loved leading people and I loved marketing is where I spent most of my career there.
Mhm.
And I loved our culture. It was so amazing. It was all about, people first. And when you take care of each other and then you could take care of the customer and take care of yourself. And I became exposed to this wonderful tool called CliftonStrengths
Mhm.
back when I was a leader. And then I got all excited about using it with our leadership team. And that was in 2012. So quite a while ago.
Yeah.
And then I became a coach, but I never knew when I was going to leave corporate and start my own business.
Mhm.
And the opportunity came right around COVID. So here I am. So that's a quick background, but I hope that helps kind of
That's good.
say
That's
who
good.
I am and
Yeah.
what I do.
Yes. That's good. That's good. Perfect. So let's do this. Um, let's dig into Dana's life. People,
Okay.
let's
Yeah.
I know. let's
Yeah.
let's start some um the- not some gossip, but more like let's get to know you. So
Get to the meat.
let's go back. Like can you give history? Maybe I always do this with my guest, like where people get to know you. Like where is Dana from? Where did she grow up? Did she have a good childhood? Was she, like was she a cheerleader? Was she bullied? Did she sell lemonade?
Oh,
Let's go
yeah.
back. Yeah,
Yeah, thank you, Edward. I love that question. And I bet you have in your strengths, I bet you have context
yeah,
because people like to know the history of something before they can move forward. And I bet
yeah.
that's what you've got. So we'll see.
Mhm,
But yes, I grew up in Oklahoma, moved to Texas when I was 10, had a relatively pretty normal childhood. I think what I didn't realize, and I talk about a lot right now, because whatever you have in your childhood, you bring into your marriage,
yeah.
right? And so it goes back generations,
Mhm,
and we learn these, you know, coping skills through our parents who learned it from their parents who learned it from their parents. But I didn't realize it at the time. I grew up with an amazing mom who was an entrepreneur. And she was one of those people, picture the Mad Men era days of the 60s.
mhm,
She worked at a TV station and she worked her way up from, secretary to producer of a TV show there in Oklahoma. And she would frequently call us to come into the station and be on a commercial or eat ice cream or do whatever they needed
yeah,
from kids.
yeah.
So that was my first exposure to television and all that. It was young, probably 5 to 10. I did that. And we moved to Dallas. And during that time, my mom decided she wanted to work at an ad agency. So she got a job. Now I'm talking about her this whole time. You don't hear me talking as much about my dad.
Yeah.
And that's because what she was doing was she was working. All my other friends' moms were not working back in that era.
Yeah.
And I was, I have two sisters, so we were kind of the latchkey kids.
Mhm.
And we just learned that we're going to have a working mom, but she really had a lot of potential. She had a lot of drive, but she didn't have a very good marriage. And I think my father was probably what you would classify today as depressed a lot.
Mhm.
I thought most dads were always like that. I thought, I
Yeah.
didn't know that was one of the things that I just thought, well, that's just what dads do. They just are depressed and they get mad at everything. And it wasn't until I left the house, I went, oh, and I got married and I have a wonderful husband, but it was learning and taking when we've been married now for 43 years. So when my husband and I had some bumpy roads about 15 years ago, we had to go back and look at our childhood and see what did we bring to our marriage. And
Wow.
what we both brought was a lot of coping of dealing with,
Family.
he was dealing with alcoholic parents. I was dealing with a depressive kind of a bipolar dad and a mother that just said, get me out of here. I'm going to go work.
Yeah.
So it all, my parents got divorced later. When I was in my 30s, my mom got remarried. They have she's a wonderful husband, wonderful marriage.
Mhm.
My father got Alzheimer's about 6 years ago and passed away 2 years ago. So
Sorry about
we
that.
all remained close. We all, managed, but it wasn't until I went through that therapy of wondering what was that I went through and why did I want to work so much and work so
Yeah.
hard.
Mhm.
My mom now she produced the first Southwest Airlines commercial when I was like 13. She owned her own production studio and casting company. She went on to do great things. And on her 80th birthday, she announced to all of us that she was going to get her undergraduate degree because she never got it.
Yeah.
And so she just graduated this summer from SMU at 85,
That's
the
awesome.
oldest graduate.
That's so
And it
awesome. Yeah.
was just a banner day.
Yeah.
So she dealt with adversity and she made the most of it and got through it. And helped kind of, we all figured out how to get through that. But so that's kind of where I came from.
Mhm.
And I think that always what I learned later, and I have a daughter who's an entrepreneur and a husband that's an entrepreneur, and now I'm an entrepreneur,
Yeah.
is I'm surrounded by entrepreneurs. But you have to have a lot of stamina and you
Yeah.
got to have a lot of let's pick ourselves up and go again.
Persistence.
And
Persistence.
yes, and I think I
Mhm.
got that from my mom.
Mhm.
So
That's
yeah. So
that's awesome. So
yeah.
with this, I know like with that time probably was strange to see a lot of women working like with your mom, right? When she
Yes.
worked, was it more like she enjoyed doing that? Was it more like just for her getting away from her husband? Maybe like, oh, was her husband like your father be like, hey, go to work, or was it? How was it?
You know what?
Mhm.
She was incredible. She loved it.
Mhm.
She absolutely loved what she did. She was passionate about it and she was really good at it. When they hired her here in Dallas at Bloom Agency, they hired her as a production secretary because she was the only person that had live broadcast experience coming from a TV station
Yeah,
producing live shows, which we're doing right now.
yeah,
Um, so she absolutely loved it. I think if she had been in a good marriage, she probably would have figured out more ways to stay connected to my dad, but she loved it and she did a great job. I was
yeah.
really proud of her.
What
Yeah.
what a great foundation for her too, for her from that young age for you to see her working and you like, I want to be like my mom, probably I want to work, I want to, so you got that introduction at a young age that
Yes.
yeah, so that's so awesome. That's awesome. So let's talk about, I know you end up so from the time when you come now you're out of college or you start working for, I know you worked for a company like Southwest. That's where you spend a lot of your
Yeah.
corporate America kind of thing. So how did you end up getting into Southwest?
That's a
Were
funny
you
story.
yeah,
Because of course, I remember my mom had worked on the first, the production of it and we had to be she goes, I'm working on a secret project. It's a little plant, this little airline that's going to start flying, but we can't talk about it. And I was like, okay.
Mhm.
So that was my first exposure to Southwest, but it was far from what I wanted to do. I'd had my degree in Bachelor of Science and a minor in journalism, and I'd worked my way, from 15 on through college at Market here in Dallas in retail and a lot of fashion. I thought I was going to be a fashion designer, one of those people. And one of my girlfriends at Market said, "Oh, Southwest is hiring, and you should consider it." And my husband and I we had been married about a year at that time, and I was like, "Okay." And we love the idea of travel, and of course you get free travel. So we went and I applied and I got on. Mind you, Edward, I had, to be a good flight attendant, you've got to really be good at serving people drink. I could talk to them. We could have a great conversation. I get to know them, but I'd forget to get their drink, or I'd forget, and I was like, okay, I love this company. I love being a part of something really cool, but being a flight attendant isn't what I'm made to do. And what I ended up doing was at 21, went into what was called management. So I went into being a supervisor of flight attendants. And from there, we started hiring and training flight attendants. I said, oh, I love this. And that was all the org health stuff. And then I eventually moved into the people department. And there were 3 of us doing the hiring and training for the whole company at that time. So the company grew. I watched it grow from 5,000 to 60,000 employees. And
Wow.
I'm one of those people that they call a boomerang. I call it boomerang. There's the dog. That's a boomerang. And basically a boomerang is I started the company in, I am so sorry. I started at the company in 1980. And then in 85, my husband and I moved to Nashville. And he had an opportunity there. And so we moved there. And I had to quit Southwest at that point because they didn't have, you had to be at corporate headquarters. So we moved to Nashville. And because of my retail background, and I had gotten my real estate license while I was flying, I was like, okay, what else can I do while I'm doing this? And so I had a lot of experience by that time in retail and in management and in real estate. So I became a marketing director for the first downtown mall in Nashville. And that's where I cut my marketing teeth. And that's where I fell in love with marketing. And then came back to Southwest the second time, this time in marketing. Yeah. And I stayed there till right around 2001 and decided it was time for me to be with my daughter. I had that working mom thing going for so long. I was having that guilt. Yeah. And I said, you know what? I need to just stay home. So I did that. And then I went back in 2009. And that's a whole nother story. But so 3 times I was with the company.
Yeah, so, I think I remember you. You're the one lady that I say, hey, may I please have a glass of water? And you brought me beer.
I was probably that one. It went, oh, I know your name, but I forgot your drink, Yeah.
You say you wanted a beer. I'm like, no, I wanted a soda.
And I have a sister that's a flight attendant, and she's been flying for a long time, and she loves it, and she's great. It's exactly meant for her. I just wasn't cut. I wasn't the best.
but probably like people enjoyed the conversation still. So
I loved the people. I loved all that. It was just forgetting their drinks or forgetting not knowing how to make some. That wasn't my gifting.
Yeah. So is it like, I know probably you saw this transition. Like I remember like I read somewhere where Southwest used to be one of the, like, I think like one of the biggest drink distributor, almost kind of like, because I think you went through like if there were tickets, like the ticket, like let's say example, ticket they are $200, but if you pay $600, then you get, or like maybe first class, you get some drinks. Were you there at that phase? Like when they were
I had just come after that. That was in the early days when they were having competition with Braniff. And I think, I can't remember the price points, but they were very low. And so a very amazing CEO, founder, Herb Kelleher, said, well, why don't we just give them give them some liquor and plus the trip. Of course, we didn't have first class or anything. It was, very egalitarian company. Everybody's treated the same. And so we didn't have classes or anything like that. So you got the liquor if you bought that special deal back then. Yeah. So it was that was right. I think that was probably when the company was in the probably second or third year. Yeah. So, and I came when they were 5 years old. So
I guess you guys did, I guess when you were there, I guess you did really good because Southwest is known like a disruptor, almost kind of like, no any other airline knew what like how to deal with them. Like the price is low, so it was really good. So let's talk about, I know you say you end up doing real estate from Oklahoma, Texas, then you moved to where?
Nashville, Tennessee.
Nash, Tennessee. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, then you have your real estate. Your real
I got,
estate
yes,
plan.
I got my, oh, I'm so sorry. I got my real estate license here in Texas and also in Tennessee. So I had it both.
Okay, yeah, both. So let's go back, and before I forget, I had this question in my head. I'm like, I remember probably at our age. You also remember that, like, when people travel, used to dress up, like, when did you
Yeah.
see that start changing people? Like, was it because now is like it was almost like flying was almost a luxury, right? And then
Yeah. 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 And that time it wasn't, I don't think Southwest ever had, like, I don't ever recall, I do recall some people dressing up, but
Mhm.
in the time that since I started, I never saw that. But that was kind of probably 50s, 60s, 70s where people really dressed up, and the flight attendants, like Brent, if they had their hat, little hats, and they were all looked alike, and they all had to be a certain weight and all that. And that all changed
Mhm.
around 19, probably 80 to 85, where it became, especially at Southwest, just more relaxed. And, we had the hot pants before that time. And so, while they had hats, that it became more of just, very still
Yeah.
casual, but
Mhm.
not overly over the top, like you saw probably in the 60s and 70s.
Mhm. Yeah, on the flight attendant, yes, but also for customer, like customer used to kind of
Right.
dress up, also kind of, so
Yeah.
yes, yeah.
Yeah. And back then you could smoke on the plane. Remember that? I don't know if you ever knew that. They
I
could
know,
literally, they'd be walking down the aisle and people would have their cigarette out, which was just crazy. Being
it
on
was,
a metal tube up in the air with smoke.
jeez, I know.
Yeah.
You get out of the plane, so you smell like cigarette, your whole body.
Yes. Not good.
Yeah. On the real estate, I know now is a little bit different. Probably back then, when you got your license, at least it feels like now when you talk to people, like even on LinkedIn, like literally there's hundreds and hundreds of realtor or people just have like this. I don't know what it is. Maybe it kind of got just kind of exposed to just gonna be like, hey, just get your real estate license or
License.
whatever. do,
Yeah.
do you see the difference? Do you feel like you have to compete more now, or do you? I know, like, it's just something you do like on your side, right? So I
No, I don't do, I hardly did it at all back then. I got my license back in the late 80s, early 90s, and I never used it in
Mhm.
both Tennessee and Texas. But my husband's in real estate. So I'm constantly hearing from him. And what I'm hearing, and he's in commercial, but what I hear from him right now when you talk about real estate is the missing middle. There is not housing for the middle class. It's either upper middle class or lower middle class. And so there's this missing middle. And there's some great literature on that. And he's concerned about that. And he's been talking about that quite a bit, that he's seeing that right now. And recently, coming out of COVID, there's not enough inventory for housing, as you know.
Mhm.
So, and housing's changed the needs and all that. We're not experts in that, but like I said, he's commercial, and I'm basically marketing and working as a coach with strengths. But I have been exposed to real estate for over 40 years, so I get it.
Okay.
So
Yeah, yeah. So I know. Before we get to the Dana, I call it like the Dana Williams Company, and I know like how you
mhm.
help. You help either founder, or do you help CEO? How does this work exactly? Actually,
Yeah. So why does somebody come to me? Who are the customers I attract? Is that what you're asking?
yeah, yeah. Like, let's say,
Yeah.
yeah, like the customer that you work with. Do you work
Yeah.
with CEO? Do you work with people who are just startup founder? Do you work up with like management in a company, or just the public in
Right.
general? Mhm.
Good. I have two client segments. One is the CEO, leader, executive leader, and their teams
Mhm.
in major companies. And usually they're looking for a coach or a guide to come alongside them and help them navigate what's going on right now. So
Mhm.
what's going on in the workplace right now is all the great resignation and all the reshuffling that's going on. You probably heard of the other trend that's happening. It's a new name for something that's been going on for a long time called quietly quitting.
Yeah.
And so it's real important to have tools for leaders. And because I was a leader and because I was in corporate for so long, I get it. I get what they're going through and I understand it. And I come in and work with them on a roadmap for 6 months, 12 months. A couple of clients I had for the next year already signed up. And we just really help the leader and their teams, understand who they are with your unique Clifton strengths. And then we develop a roadmap for them based on their needs and based on, it could be team development, it could be hiring and onboarding. It could be, I'm doing some masterminds with some based on their needs, based on their engagement surveys. So it's just building a plan for them based on their needs, and using strengths is one of the tools we use.
Okay.
My other client are coaches and entrepreneurs. So those people out on their own and they need help, they need direction because of my marketing background. That is, I end up helping them in how they're messaging themselves, what their mission is, but everything's based on their strengths.
Okay.
So
Somebody wants to do the interview.
I am so sorry. He's never done this before.
So can we go back a little bit, maybe kind of go into how did you end up getting into this? I know you mentioned about Gallup-Certified Strength Coach. Can you go like in detail a little bit? How did you end up into this? I know because you went back to Southwest, and then from there, did you end up leaving, or did you end up kind of taking this certification while you're still there, or?
So when I was there from 80 to 85, and then from 90 to 2001, and then I came back in 2009. When I came back in 2009, the company had just gone through all of the challenges from 9/11. It was kind of the lost decade.
Yeah.
And I came back into marketing, came back in the same role, and I saw the need. We were going through some challenges right then because we needed to grow, and Southwest always grew during times of recessions. So we acquired AirTran during that time. So able to help with all that. The stint I had before with Southwest, I helped with the integration of another carrier called Morris Air. And so both of them were similar, and both of them were growing during times of a recessionary time, because this was 2008 that had just happened.
Yeah.
When I came back in 2009. When I came back, we were in that growth mode. After the recession, we kind of we never had a layoff. So we offered people what was called Freedom 09. So I got there right when they were offering Freedom 09 to people. So that was a little tough. Got through that. And then I really always had my ear to the ground for good tools for development and engagement as a leader for my people. And one of my coworkers had used CliftonStrengths at her church and said, "This is an amazing tool. We should look at it." So we started using it. And then as a marketing department, we used it. The whole company was not using it at that point. And we kind of did our own thing with it for about 3 years and just use it for team development. Every time we had a new employee, we'd help them get their talents. And then once we started doing that, we saw a big difference in engagement. Because the big problem today, and I've been in leadership for a long time, is that people want to feel valued and they want to feel like they make a difference. Mm-hmm. And when they understand what they're made of, instead of comparing them with somebody else, I mean, the chances that we're all here on Earth right now is 4 trillion or something. Yeah. So what Gallup says is we're 1 in 34 million with the talents that we have. So my mission is to help people birth that purpose and use it every day. So I had an amazing leader in the marketing department, and he was a big believer in strengths. And every time that we had an opportunity to have a kind of team development session, we just layered it in. And finally, other departments started asking, "How are y'all doing this? What are you doing?" And then our CEO decided one day, said, "I really think we should be a strengths-based organization." And so once he said that and all the leadership bought in, then I was able to help work with the marketing and the HR team and all of us that had been working on it. And we developed a roadmap for Southwest. So that was really fun. And we were in year 2 of that when COVID happened.
Yeah.
And so I knew at some point that I was going to be going out on my own again. I
Mhm.
just didn't know when. So when I took that second leave when my daughter was in junior high school to just be at home, I ended up doing some branding and consulting. And I ended up also starting a Christian high school with some other parents and just doing some cool things. And so when I came back to Southwest in 2009, I had just come out of a deep, dark place in our marriage. My husband had just started recovering from cancer and the financial situation. So it was a good time for me to kind of be back. And this tool really helped me get a hold of who I was
Mhm.
and how to use that every day, because you feel more productive, more energized, and more confident what you do every day when you know your strengths.
Yeah.
So, and I knew I wanted to be a coach at some point. I just didn't know when. And then COVID happened and they started offering packages. And I said, okay, this is my green light. This is the time.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
there I am.
That's awesome. And if quick question on the airline, if someone, let's say I was to get a bunch of money, I win the lotto, I'm like almost $1 billion, whatever, and I come to you, I'm like, hey, I want to start an airline. Would you work with me? Would you or would you be like, hey, like run away, don't go there? Oh, do you think this is a
It's
is a
it's
business?
a tough business. It's a tough business. And if you look at the history of Southwest, I mean, everything that happened with Southwest was happened, it was not easy. It was
Yeah,
not easy. Nothing was easy.
yeah.
And so I loved being there. I don't know. I can't stop him. Anyway, I loved being there because I felt like I was an entrepreneur. I was an entrepreneur. I got to help grow the company.
Yeah,
And that was what was really cool
yeah.
in the whole thing. So, but no, I wouldn't recommend that right now.
You're like, what? Okay.
It's so
Yeah,
much. I mean, you got to think about fuel costs and people and customer service and just all the things that it takes a long time to build. So maybe invest in Southwest, but
yeah, yeah. So
yeah,
I guess the way I was thinking too, the way you were explaining about like teaching people how to find their strength, right? And
right.
do you think organizations will benefit instead of just hiring like someone like an outside to come in for a few months or whatever? Do you think an organization can benefit to just have someone within the company that now is almost like it does? I guess you almost work hands in hand, probably close to like in my head, I was thinking that sounds like a shrink, like someone who kind of gives you this um not just talks, but someone you can kind of motivate you to find your strength and kind of. So do you think would be better just for the company to just have, or like they're doing, like they hire you, you come in for 6 months? Are you also dealing with people one on one, or you just like I know you're explaining and my mind was going kind of all over. Can you do it also that with dealing one on one or just in a group setting?
Absolutely. Yeah. So first of all, there's coaching and then there's a therapist, and we're not therapists.
Yeah.
We do a lot of listening as a coach and a lot of we ask a lot of questions and just help people find themselves and find their answers.
Yeah.
Um, right now, let me just say this: 7 out of 10 people aren't thriving right now, and coming out of COVID, coming out of all the changes, and there's never been a better time for leaders to understand their own unique talents so that they can lead a team, because leaders, people follow leaders. They don't leave their company, they leave their leaders.
Mhm.
So I'm really focused on the leaders right now and what they need and how they can be strong. And I spend a lot of time working with them on how they can be a good coach. We call it, as Gallup has termed it, boss to coach. But we really have focus on them, teaching them to be coaches. And what works so well at Southwest is that we required each department to have strengths advocates or people that were coaches within each department so that you could keep it growing. It's hard when you just have one person so I try in all of the corporations I work with and all of my clients, I usually have a certain amount of people that I'm training to be that coach, that strengths advocate there.
Mhm.
And I'm just guiding them and helping them keep it alive and integrate it into everything they're doing.
Mhm. And this is something also once someone get to find out about their strength? Is something that they have to practice almost kind of everyday thing? Is it like, is,
Yes, I believe that. I'm a big proponent of you know, we can you're either designing your day or you're living your day in default.
Mhm,
And so for me, and that is why when I was a coach, I came up with the Strengths Journal, which is the only Gallup daily planner for Clifton Strengths. And it really helps you. Like just last night, I was planning out today and I was like, it says, what is your outcome for tomorrow? What are the 3 things you're going to do at the end of the day? What are you excited about? What is something that you're grateful for? And then what is a fear that you step through during the day? So you can really understand your strengths throughout the day. But the biggest thing is when you're coming up with your outcome for the day and the 3 things you're going to do, you're actually assigning one of your talents to help you get those done. Because we have infinite amount of opportunities when we use our talents.
mhm.
But sometimes we've all been taught, oh, you're really good at this, but you need to work on this. And this philosophy is you're really good at this, stay here in this zone
Yeah,
because your strengths go with you wherever you are. They
yeah,
don't leave. And so and they've been with you since you were a child. So we want to help you use them every day.
mhm.
And
That's
so,
all.
yes, to answer your question, I think the best thing is some of the people have come to me, they've learned their strengths, but then they just put it in the drawer and never saw them again. And they said, we want to make this be a part of how we work. And so we come in there and help them do that.
Okay, okay. I was thinking about like in a retail store, how we can work and also kind of maybe help for the company to leverage all their teams, their team members, like kind of to do better. Either it can be in customer service, just to have, I guess also by finding your strength, also like is part of building also like a company culture, right? So by
Right.
yeah, so by I guess it should start from the top and then kind of trickle down to the employee, but also part of the whole culture thing. Um, if,
Exactly. And I think in retail, I mean, it's huge because you're doing customer service. So if you're a person that doesn't have one of the talents that kind of gets energy from being around new people, you want to hire those kind of people that get energy from meeting new people.
Mhm,
This tool is not for a hiring, it's for development. So there's things that you can pick up in the hiring process of, oh, this person loves to meet people, things like
yeah,
that. But then once you get them on boarded, you help them see how they can use it every day.
okay, perfect.
Does that make sense?
Yep, yeah, definitely. It makes sense. So I was going to ask you another question about what gets you excited about life. I know what it's
You
just like a,
know,
mhm,
it's so funny. My husband and I were on a walk the other day. We were talking about this. And I think it's the passion that I have
mhm,
when I get those light bulb moments when I'm coaching somebody or working with a team, and all of a sudden somebody just a light bulb comes on in their life of like, ah, that's why I act this way, or that's why I need this.
yeah,
And all of a sudden they're soaring. And just they're feeling so good because we walk around with pretty bad narratives about ourselves a lot.
yeah,
And this helps you kind of think, no, I've got this talent. I'm going to use it. And I don't need to worry about trying to be all things to all people.
yeah.
So those are the moments that brighten my day.
Okay, that's awesome. I know you talk about also managing your energy, not your
Yes.
time. I was
Yes.
kind of like, I was like, what does that mean? Manage your energy, not your time.
Right. So think about this.
Mhm,
The clock wasn't even really developed until the railway station, came in, the railroads came in. So people before that time were using different ways to kind of keep up with the time. And then it wasn't until a transportation like the railway came in that we had time. But Einstein talks about the fact that we create our own time.
mhm,
And so many times we're getting mad at the clock. Oh, I don't have enough time, or I'm trying to cram too much in, and we're overwhelmed. But when you look at time differently, that you create time. So whether you need to get up earlier in the morning or stay up later at night, depending on if you're a night owl or early bird, that's where your energy is going to come. And that is why it's using your energy from your strengths every day. I get energized when I have a project that I know I'm going to get to ideate on, or I know I'm going to get to meet somebody new and get to help them. That is my individualization. And once I realize that, then I need to put those in my day. And then it's about me managing that energy throughout the day. Yes, there's things I don't like to do that I have to do. Like this morning, I had to do a bunch of paperwork, but I did that first thing in the morning. That's my linear thinking's there. And I use some of my responsibility talent to help me get that done.
Mhm.
So does that make sense?
Yes, yes. I was thinking too. I'm like, I know I need to do my strength
You
test.
do, Edward.
I know,
See,
I know
you
I'm
will be
slacking.
so much,
I'm,
you'll be going, no
I'm good.
wonder.
I know, I'm
Hmm.
gonna definitely do it. I'm gonna do it today. I'm gonna finish today. And
Great.
I was gonna also talk about like ask you. Um, I guess it's kind of one of those maybe you kind of answered also in a way how to get unstuck and find your
Yes.
purpose. Kind of
Yeah,
um,
I think, and I said this earlier, you're either living by default or you're living by design.
yeah.
When you're living by design, you know what your purpose is and you could easily rattle it off. Whether you're a leader, we're going to work on your leadership brand, or you're an individual who's an entrepreneur. What is your brand? What is your mission? I know that I was attracted to Southwest because of their mission. It was aligned with my core values and my mission.
Yeah.
And I think so many people right now aren't happy because they haven't really taken the time to think about what their purpose is and their mission is. So I help them do that. I have a boot camp coming up September 15th, and that's what they get to do. They get to get in there, learn their strengths, come up with a plan. They will leave with a blueprint that's unique to them based on their mission.
Mhm.
So it's
Yeah.
pretty cool when you start living that way. Then you're energized, and then you're not. If you start to get stuck, it's because you're probably spending time on things you don't need to be spending time on,
Mhm. That's
or
all.
you don't have the talent to do it, and you need
Yeah.
somebody
Yeah.
to come alongside you, yeah,
Yeah.
to do it. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And I know also we were talking about how my mind is all like is all over the place. I'm trying
it's
to
okay.
focus so I can get like not just to give value to people, but also to just kind of give value for myself. And I know you were mentioning about how like employees, I mean, how can leaders or company like retain uh, what they can do to retain like employees
Yes.
uh, now and things like that. And you also
Yeah.
something like you. Oh, go ahead, Dana. Sorry.
Yeah. So right now,
Mm.
it's called the war for talent, right? There's a lot of people moving around. There's a lot of people going, well, I don't really want to have to be hybrid, or I want to be hybrid, but I want to live where I want to live. And so there's all that going on.
Yeah.
And some people are jumping right now into new jobs, but they haven't really done their homework about, is this a company that serves my mission and my values? And they take the job, the hike to the new job, the
Mm.
leap with the money, with all that. And then they're unhappy because it might be a strenuous work environment, a lot of stress. So then they want to leave because they're not engaged.
Mm.
So what I love that Gallup has produced is it's called Q12, and it's 12 questions you ask your employees. You can do it once a year or twice a year, usually once a year. And then I also there's 3 questions in there that I ask the people that I work with at least once or twice a month. And it's like, do you feel like you're getting to use your strengths every day and do what you do best every day? Do you
Mhm.
feel like you have the tools to do what you do best? And do you have role clarity? Do you know what's expected of you? And do you feel like you're confused about anything? If you just ask those 3 questions once a week or once a month with your people, they will tell you, because those are the 3 things that are usually the hardest, that cause people not to be engaged. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes.
So,
In my head, I was thinking too, but also it's a very thin line between getting some employees that like I mean, yes, probably from there you're gonna find out who deserve to be in a company or some just lazy person because also we're human. Some people are just lazy or they might just be like
yeah,
oh, yeah, just because they just like that paycheck they want to see. Um,
yeah,
but in terms of this hybrid, I know there's some company that there's some other company that you really need the person to be on location, and then like let's say retail you
yeah.
need people to be there, and then there are things like maybe call center or customer service by phone. People can stay, maybe can work hybrid and can maybe take people can work also remotely. Do you think So when it comes to company, like the question you're saying is great to be asking question like maybe
Hmm.
twice a week or kind of something like that.
Hmm.
And then people have already tested this thing, like to work from home, right? To work
Right.
from home is best because you maybe um, you can finish your work within 4 hours instead of 8 hours at work, right? Like let's say you're working from home, 4 hours, you're done. Boom, you focus on doing other thing. Maybe you're cleaning your house, you're doing laundry, and then you kind of. What would you suggest, or how does this impact in like with just the company culture in general, because now you have this like there's a way you have to know how to deal with these people, right? Like there's
Right.
a way. Do you can you just do 100% like remote, or do you have to mix it kind of like, hey, you're gonna work from home and then 2 3 days you're gonna work from office? Is that is that necessary, or is it like, yeah, no, just create a company culture? I don't know. Sorry, I'm kind of going all over.
No, and I think that we were going through that last year because leaders were trying to figure out, are we hybrid, are we not hybrid?
Yeah.
And what I've seen, the trend I've seen is that most of the corporations of people I work with, they're going in the office about 2 days a week. If they were coming from a company that was in the office every day, but the leaders and all employees have the option to be there every day, but they're only required to be in there 2 days. And it also is dependent on the work group. So to your point, in an airline or somewhere there's customer service people, they got to be at work at their shifts and all that. But if you're in the office situation then, or a customer service rep, then it's different.
Yeah.
And I see that with the healthcare business. I see it with the energy business. I serve all those areas, and all of them are consistent in being in the office at least 1 or 2 days a week. And they're usually there on the same days. So they
Mhm.
can have all their meetings, in-person meetings the same day. They can have their culture building activities on those days and make sure they're all staying connected.
Mhm.
So the problem we're seeing there though is the leaders might be coming in every day, but they're not requiring the employees to. And you've got a new employee that comes in and says, "Oh, my leader wants to meet with me on Friday, and my days in the office are Tuesday and Thursday. Do I tell him I just won't come in? Or
Mhm.
what do I do?" Well, that is up to you and the leader to have those discussions. And so a lot of this quiet quitting and where people aren't, it's just lack of communication. It's like, here's my needs. Here's, I'm either working too much, or because we've got 3 people that left and I've taken all their roles right now and I'm overworked, but I don't want to say anything because I might get, let go. So it's really having those psychological safety to have those conversations with your leader right now. And for the leader to make sure they're asking the question, do you have role clarity? Are you doing okay? What do you need from me? What tools do you need from me? And then the last one is that you're getting to use your talents every day and do what you do best.
Mhm.
Because then you've got an energized, excited employee, engaged employee.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes, yes. And I was thinking too the way you mentioned, and I know maybe for this suggestion to a lot of leaders or management, um, if you have a hybrid, like where an employee maybe come to work to the office on Tuesday, and you want to plan a meeting with them on Friday, so that means you want them to come back to the office twice. Would it be possible to just maybe just gonna be like, hey, just schedule the meeting on Tuesday on the day that they come to work, right?
And
Instead of
sometimes a leader can't do that because if they're, especially if he's trying to schedule a one-on-one with
yeah.
somebody. So in that case, I think it's that the leader should say, please don't come in if it's not your day. Let's just do a quick Zoom,
Mhm.
and we can make it happen. And that way there's no guilt of, especially with a new
Oh, there you go.
employee
Yeah.
or somebody like that. And it's just, we can't look at every person the same. We've got 4 different generations in the workplace right now, and they all need something different.
Mhm.
And the leader of today is not going to be the leader that you need to be in the next 6 months, because you're going to need to understand well-being. You're going to be able to understand how to coach, understand the needs of each of your employees in a different way than you've ever heard of before. So it's an exciting time to be in this space, because strengths is a great tool to help catapult the leader and the employee to speak up and say, here's what I need, here's what I'm feeling, and it helps with that discussion.
Okay. And I was thinking too, also, one of the this is for me personally, like one of the
Yeah.
things that I'm struggling with is my team is remote, right? It's remote. We're
Yeah.
all remote. So we do a lot of Zoom meeting, but it still feels like something is missing. What do you do to create something to be like, okay, guys, maybe once a month we're gonna meet in person? Do we do like paintball kind of recreation? What would you suggest for something?
Yeah. I think the first thing is to get the team together and say, how can we be connected in person? Let them vote on it. Is it once a month?
Mhm.
Is it twice a month? And then are we going to do a culture activity, or are we going to do just a hangout, drink beer and eat pizza type
Mhm.
thing?
Yeah.
A culture would be like go bowling, or, both of them, you would be connecting with your other employees, but is it going to be more intentional where you're doing team building, or is it going to be fun and a culture type situation? And let the team be a part of deciding that, instead of the leader coming in, okay, we're going to meet once a month and we're going to have fun.
Yeah.
Let them be a part of planning it.
Okay. So with your training, with the Dana William Company, do you? I know you mentioned something. So right now you're in Nashville, right? You say
No,
Nashville.
I moved back to Dallas in
You're back in
91
Dallas.
when I came back to Southwest.
Okay.
So I've been back here a long
Yeah.
time.
Are you focused on with companies in Texas, or are you like
All
nationwide
over,
or worldwide? Mhm.
worldwide. Yeah. So I've got clients in Australia and Germany and here in the United States. So it doesn't matter, because of Zoom, we're able to do so much, and we're
Right.
able to connect and help. So yeah, they're kind of all over. So
Okay. Perfect. Oh, that's great. Actually, that's what I was about to say. Technology actually kind of like helps so much
yes.
where you're able to just kind of Zoom with people for a few hours a week. Kind of
Yeah.
okay. That's so
And
good.
do training. We do trainings on Zoom. We do, I did a lot of virtual. I started my company in the midst of COVID. So
Yeah.
I was able to start it as a virtual company, which was great.
Okay. Okay. So for startup like my company, like I know you start with like let's say the way you send me where to kind of find my strength and kind of go from there. If I have like three other co-founders, should
Yeah.
they get the same? So they all get the same, and then kind of from there, then you are able to create something for us, right? Is it?
Right. Yeah. So then what I typically would do was have you each take the assessment, and then I'd coach each of you individually.
Mhm,
And then we get together as a team, and you'd actually see a team grid of how
mhm,
you guys show up as a team. And you talk through, ooh, this is where we're going to be really shining as a group.
mhm,
Oop, these are some areas we need some watch out areas. Ooh, who are we going to lean on to help us look at history? Edward, who are we going to lean on to help us, plan for the future? Who are we going to lean on to help us be disciplined and focused? And I even have a group of 4 women that we have. It's called Female Founders, and we put everybody in a strengths grid. And we were trying to get some stuff done this week, and
yeah,
they're asking me, "Okay, how are we?" I said, "Well, we're going to use the focus from so and so. We're going to use the futuristic." And it's really cool how quickly you can move as a team, and you're not trying to be all things. We want you to be well rounded as a team, but not as individuals. So how do you show up as a team, and it helps you move so much faster, and you feel energized as a team, and
yeah.
then you kind of start. It becomes a language for you,
Mhm.
so which is kind of fun.
No, actually, this is funny because as you're talking, it took me a long time to just kind of understand. I haven't fully understood all my co-founder strength, but from just working with them, and I can understand exactly what you're saying because you take this assessment, it kind of expose their strength, and they'll be like, oh, so like right now, I have one of my co-founder who I know is like, when we say, hey, can you fix this problem? Da, 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 it'll be like it will take him hours, right? Because he does not, but he's really good. Like it would take him not just an hour, it would take him maybe 2 weeks just to finish something will be done probably like in half an hour, 1 hour. But as soon you have people, like let's say you have developers and they have a problem, oh, he digs in and he kind of helps them. He will stay for like 10 hours. He just like, I don't know. I don't know what it is.
That's restorative. Probably he probably has
Yeah.
restorative, and I had a leader that had restorative, and he was great.
Mm.
And I just had to tell him, I've got a problem and I need to fix it, or I have a problem and I don't need you to fix it. I need you to just listen, because
Mhm.
restorative people want to fix. Like you said, it's a great talent, and you want to have somebody on your team that has that,
Yeah.
because they're going to be great at fixing problems, and they get energy from fixing problems. So
Yeah.
it's pretty
Actually,
cool.
this I'm thinking this probably would just, instead of me just taking this assessment, I think I'm gonna bring all
Oh,
of them so they can
yeah,
take and then kind of be like, yeah, yeah, and then kind of
yeah.
work with it. I like this. I like.
Yeah, because then it's not you saying, "Oh, then they realize, okay, this isn't my best. I'm not at my best when I'm doing this. I'm at my best when I'm solving problems, or I'm at my
Yeah,
best when I'm focusing." So
yeah.
it really helps. Yeah.
This is so great. This is awesome. Um, let's summarize before we go. Let's summarize
Yes.
about Dana Williams' company. Can you just kind of summarize for someone who
Yeah.
maybe kind of listen to?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think I would say that most people right now are burning out because they're not making an impact.
yeah,
And what I do is I help them, employees, leaders, entrepreneurs, I help them find their unique talents and use those every day, not just, oh, let's go do a training, but every day.
yeah.
And they get to transform their lives from the inside out. That's what I do.
And the good thing is, people can take the assessment for free, right?
No, you pay. You can go to the Gallup website and take it. It's 19.99 to take the top 5 assessment.
Mhm.
I think I just sent you one
Yes.
that I had in my. But yeah, you pay for it if you want. There's 34 talents. If you want all 34, it's I think it's like 49.99. But it's well worth it. It's not that expensive, and it's like, think of it as 4 Starbucks or something,
Yeah.
or less than 4 Starbucks. So and you know what your talents are. So it's a great tool to use.
And this is just me, for people like listening, and I think it's not I'm not trying to to say like I'm endorsing her, but I know it's a great, just working with teams. I think this is a really good thing to do the assessment, because otherwise you can say like, oh yeah, I know this is my friend. We, now we work together or whatever, but like
Mhm.
really taking the assessment can expose some of those strengths that like maybe that person does not really show. So this is awesome.
Right.
I'm gonna take this with my co-founder. This is gonna be awesome.
Good. I
Yeah,
think that's great. I think you
yeah.
should.
Thank
It'll be exciting. You'll have to call me back and let me know how it goes.
Oh, definitely. Thank you so much, Dana, again. Um,
Yeah, sure.
and before we go, do you want to say anything?
Yes.
Yeah,
Well, first of all, Edward, thank you for having me here. I'm excited about you doing this with your team. Also, I always tell people, they always ask about, well, can my husband or my wife or my significant other do this? My kids, yes. Kids can do it at early as 9. And we've seen great results from that. So, and I've witnessed to how I've seen it, use it in my family with my husband and my daughter, my grown daughter, and then in the workplace, because we're one person.
yeah,
And I think that people right now want to design their work around their life, not their life around their work. And so, what better way to know what your strengths are than using, the strengths? I do have this boot camp coming up. We just kicked it off today, and it goes through registrations through the 12th of September, and it's a 6-week boot camp. So, if anybody wants to get their strengths, get a strengths journal, help develop their personal brand statement and a plan, it's there at strengthsonpurpose.com. So you
mhm,
can go there. You can always go to danawilliamsco.com as well,
mhm.
or you can go to the strengths journal if you want to get a journal. So
Yeah, yeah.
strengthsjournal.com. So those are the 3 ways to connect with me. But those of you that are ready to grow and you want to be a difference maker, I'd love to have you in the boot camp. So
Awesome, awesome. Oh, you just gave me a new idea. Like, I didn't know that this actually can be used even in a relationship. So
oh
yeah,
yeah.
I'm about to take this assessment just to be petty with my girlfriend. I'm gonna be like, let's
There
take
we
this
go.
so I can find some points to be winning. I'm like, you don't have strength on this, right?
Yeah. Oh, I tease my husband all the time. He teases me
Yeah.
because I have futuristic. He goes, Dana, I don't know what we're doing next month. Let's just focus on today. Because I'm always like, what about next month? So that's
Yeah.
futuristic. But yeah. So
That's so
it's
awesome.
fun.
That's so awesome. Thank you
Yeah.
so much again, Dana,
Well,
for
thank
taking the
you,
time to chat with me.
Edward.
Yeah, I
I
really
appreciate you
appreciate it.
having me on your show today. And
Yes,
best to
yes,
you.
definitely. Thank you so much. Just give me a second, man.